everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a year since I did one of these Shakespearean analysis ASMR videos, but I've noticed, when I first posted the first 3 a year ago, no one really watched them, and I didn't get any likes or reviews. But over time, some of you have found them, and they're now like the most watched videos on my channel. So I figured I'd get back to making them. It is raining and thundering, obviously, which hopefully just adds to the experience. I did just start filming and then realized I didn't have my video going and started writing, and so I'm doing it again. And so obviously I'm a little rusty at this, so bear with me. I think one of the reasons that I didn't create any ASMR for a year was because I got really perfectionist about it, and it was so much harder than just filming like a normal video. So this time around, I'm gonna try to be a little less perfectionist and just kind of get some more content out there, and hopefully that's a good trade-off. Okay, so we left off with Sonnet 18, so now we're gonna just pick right up with Sonnet 19 and to review what we know about the sonnets. Shakespeare wrote 154 of them, and 1 through 126 were written to a fair youth. And what we know about the fair youth is that he was a man, he was male. That's really undeniable. He was younger than Shakespeare, but I don't think it was a huge age gap because Shakespeare was in his late 20s when he was writing these sonnets, and the young man was of a marriageable age, which even then was early 20s. It would be rare for a teenager to get married, so I don't think the age gap between them was huge. And we also know the fair youth was very, very hot, according to Shakespeare, just super duper hot. Other than that, we don't know who the fair youth is. Some literary scholars and historians have speculated. Maybe he was a patron, maybe he was an actor, but we don't know, okay? And I love this sonnet because I think it is the most metal Shakespearean sonnet. And maybe you'll see why after we read it, and you'll agree with me, but it has a very metal vibe and attitude. I think it's pretty badass, so we'll take a look at that. Okay, so we're gonna read through the sonnet, and like I always told my English students, the first time you read through a poem, just listen to it. Don't worry too much if you don't understand everything. Just kind of enjoy the musicality and the images it conjures in your mind. And then after we've read through it one time, we'll go through, make sure we understand all the words and parse out all the meaning that we can. And this metal thunderstorm is gonna fit perfectly with the mood of this poem. Okay, so here we go. Sonnet 19. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paws, and make the earth devour her own sweet brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleets, and do whate'er thou wilt, swift-footed time, to the wide world and all her fading sweets, but I forbid thee one more heinous crime. O carve not with the hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow, for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time. Despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young. Okay, so hopefully you got some sense of the topic and the attitude that Shakespeare is bringing to this poem. So something that let's go through and make sure we understand all the words. So there's a few I thought maybe we should go over. The first one here is keen teeth, which means sharp. Okay. Here we have fleets, and that's not like fleets of ships or trucks, but it means like to move quickly. Okay. Wilt, this is just one of those examples of kind of old-fashioned English, and it just means will. We have heinous, might be a word you haven't come across very often. It means just like terrible. Okay. Your brow is your forehead. Untainted. In this case, it means like unmarked. Not marked up, not tainted, not corrupted. Here we have succeeding men, and this isn't succeeding like in business. This means like future generations of men. And here we've got verse, which is a synonym for poetry. Shakespeare's own poetry is what he's talking about here. Okay. So first, before we get started, you'll notice right away the poem starts with addressing someone, devouring time. This is actually like Shakespeare writing a letter to time, and it's devouring time, right? Like time that eats everything. This is a literary device called an apostrophe. Not like the apostrophe, you put to indicate possession. But apostrophe is a literary device where a speaker addresses an absent person, a personified object, or an abstract idea. So it's like basically you're talking to someone who cannot talk back or isn't actually a someone. In this case, we're talking to the abstract idea of time itself, right? Okay, so Shakespeare has a bone to pick with time. Devouring time. Blunt thou the lion's paws, right? So the lion's paws, which are like so sharp, are going to be blunted by time, right? Over time. And make the earth devour her own sweet brood. That's another word, actually. We should have defined brood as like your offspring, your kids. Okay. So the earth, everything that grows from the earth eventually devours, decays, it eats it. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws. So even as tigers who are so vicious, even as they age, their sharp teeth will fall out, right? And burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. So even the phoenix, which is supposedly immortal, eventually dies, right? Everything dies because of time. So Shakespeare's setting up this apostrophe to time, who's like devouring and super brutal and kills everything, right? So I'm going to sum this up by saying time makes everything age and die, right? So Shakespeare goes on, still talking to time, make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleets. So as you move, glad seasons like summer and spring, sorry seasons like winter, or even just like periods of your life that are happy and sad. As time moves, they all pass. And do whatever thou will, swift-footed time. So Shakespeare's so graciously giving his permission for time to go on doing all these things. He's basically saying okay, time, do your worst, right? Yeah, and do whatever thou wilt, swift-footed time, do your worst. To the wide world and all her fading sweets. So do whatever, kill everything, make everything age. But here comes the turn, right? There's always a turn in the poem, and this one is actually so metal it has 2 turns. Here's the first turn, and we'll see if you can spot the next one. But I forbid thee one more heinous crime. There's one thing I won't let you do, time. So let's find out what it is. Oh, carve not with the hours my love's fair brow. Basically, don't give him wrinkles. Right? Nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen, right? So like as if time had a pen and carved wrinkles into your face. Shakespeare's like, no, you're not allowed to do that. Again, the audacity of Shakespeare to boss time around. That's what makes it metal, right? Him, so referring to his lover now, that's him. Him in thy course untainted do allow. So just let him go unmarked by you. For beauty's pattern to succeeding men, right? That we've seen this before. Shakespeare's preoccupation with his love's beauty being preserved for future generations of men to appreciate. And I hope you appreciate the train in the background. I think train whistles can be lovely. Okay, so yeah, let him stay young. Let him stay young. So future men will know his beauty. And here comes the second turn. Oh my God. 2 turns. Yet do thy worst old time. Okay, so now he's like, all right, well, you're probably going to go ahead and do your worst anyways. Despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young. So at the end, he's actually saying, like, all right, well, I probably can't boss around time. Like, he's probably going to do his worst. But even still, my love's beauty will live on in my poetry. Again, we see Shakespeare just like very, very confident in his poetry's ability to live forever. And indeed, he was right? Like, we're still reading this poem today, hundreds of years later. So he's saying, never mind. Do your worst. Despite making him age, my love will be young and hot forever in my poems. So, because of Shakespeare, like, first of all, I think this poem is metal because there's like lions and tigers raw and like devouring time. I mean, can't you just hear like a metal singer like screaming, like opening a song with like devouring time? I totally can. And he's got just like this total rock star attitude again of just like, whatever, time can't touch my poetry because I'm the greatest and I will preserve my love's hotness forever in these poems. So that's why I say that this poem is super metal. I think it's a fun one, and it definitely marks the end of the procreation sonnet, so we'll see him taking on sort of different topics in the future. I hope that you enjoyed this analysis and got some out of it, and if you want me to make more of these, do let me know. I didn't hear anything last time, which is why I stopped making them, but I would love to keep making them for you if there's an interest there. And I hope that the rain and the thunder and the trains weren't too distracting. And I've been quiet on my channel lately because I was working on a book. I'm writing a book. I got like 50,000 1,000 words in, and then I got really stuck. And then I wasn't making videos because I was like, oh, I should be writing, like all my creative energy should be going towards writing, but I wasn't writing, and I wasn't also making videos, and I was just like making nothing. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'll just like start being creative again through videos, and hopefully soon I'll take a little break and I'll come back to the book and figure out what I want to do with it. So yeah, what else? I'm still on sub with my young adult novel. It's coming up on like 4 months that I've been on sub. Haven't heard anything positive yet, but definitely it's common these days for books to sell after 6 months to a year, so we'll see. Still have some hope there. Yeah, and I hope that everyone's having a great May, or as great as it can be, that you've all taken good care of yourself and getting through the pandemic all right. Yeah, so that's it for me today. This is kind of a short one, but hopefully you enjoyed it. All right, take care.